When you run a small business, there are a few things that you get that can be quite exciting, like computers and cameras and business cards with your name on. But the other day I found myself in Staples looking at reams of paper, thinking, this is probably the most uninteresting thing I've ever bought for my small business. And it is. It's not very interesting at all. And there are tons of things that I get for my business that are not very interesting. So let's spend this video talking about the less interesting things we buy as business owners. It's the items that make the day-to-day running of your business possible, but it won't be turning any heads. Ooh, look at this giant pigment printer. Shall we talk about archival prints? No, that would be too exciting. Instead, let's talk about this. It's my tiny document printer. It just does 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, and I use it pretty much every day for contracts and marketing materials. It prints 15 black and white pages a minute, and it'll do two-sided prints automatically. But that's quite boring stuff. It's not like a nice fancy photo printer. But I think a printer is something most businesses need, second only to a computer and a cell phone. I guess that would be third, but you know what I mean. QuickBooks is accounting software, and it is the least interesting piece of software that I run, and it's also the most expensive piece of software that I run because it runs on a subscription model. It keeps track of your expenses and your income to make things a little bit easier during tax season. Now, I've got to admit, I quite like accounting. It brings out the geek in me. There's lots of data to analyze. But I also like keywording my images and calibrating my monitor. So take that for what it's worth. If you've ever gotten excited about buying a ream of paper, you might need to get professional help. I know I do. I mean, copy paper isn't that expensive, but if you spend a little bit more, you can get the premium stuff. And I use this for my marketing materials and my contracts. I don't want my clients to feel like they're touching the same boring and cheap paper they've been using all day in the office or at home. It's a little thing, but the smoothness and the quality of the paper brings a little bit of luxury somewhere that they weren't expecting it. The first time you get any piece of equipment, it's really novel, but by the time you've bought a few more of the same thing, the novelty quickly wears off. It's things like batteries, memory cards, cables, subscription software. I remember the first time I got a C-stand to replace the portable light stands I was using before. It was a fantastic upgrade, but then I got my second and my third, and by the time I got my fourth, it was a cold and heartless purchase, but they're so incredibly practical. And then of course, things break and wear out. One of the least interesting purchases I ever made was this 35mm lens, and it wasn't interesting because I'd already bought one before. This one I dropped on a job and I broke the aperture motor. I could have used it as an excuse to upgrade my entire camera system. That would have been exciting, but I did the less exciting thing of spending a couple of $100 on getting a used version of the same thing. Not super exciting, but not financially silly either. Now this is a tilt shift lens and it's really fascinating, so I'm not going to talk about it. These are my stretchy jeans, and I rely on them because I'm constantly rolling around on the floor, getting things out of my bag, or demonstrating body positions. In fact, I love them so much that I don't think I could go back to inflexible jeans. Tea. You might be thinking, Phil, why is tea on this list? Tea's really interesting. And to that I say, you're right, but I'm including it on this list because it's little things like this that often get overlooked. Back where I'm from, tea's what you make your friends when they come and visit. It's what you make if you've got a plumber in the kitchen. You make them a cup of tea. If someone's down in the dumps, you can make them a cup of tea. It's just what you do when you want to have a chat with someone. So I always make my clients a cup of tea when they visit because I want them to feel welcome, because they are. Well, I hope you found this video about uninteresting things interesting. Let me know in the comments below what the least interesting thing you've ever got for your business is, and we'll see who has the least interesting stuff.